And let's go down to, wow, that looks really nice, BJ, behind you. Beautiful Miami Beach, Florida, where I have former heavyweight and cruiserweight contender, now trainer to the stars, BJ Flores on. BJ, I would ask how you doing, but I think I can tell already without even asking you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. Everything's going great, man. Just enjoying a little downtime and just reflecting on the last year and just trying to figure out what we can do this year to be even better than last year. So, that's pretty much it. Just enjoying some downtime, but it's already looking forward to 2022.
I'll tell you what, every time we bring you on, you always bring something beside you. Last time you brought an adult film star. Now you're bringing a beautiful view of Miami. So, BJ, how's everything going? And we're gonna hit a few boxing topics. We're gonna start with the fight tomorrow night. Keith Thurman, Mario Barrios getting it on. What's being overshadowed about this fight, or I guess, are two things: is A, the fight's on pay-per-view, and B, the cost of $74.95 for this. Before we get into the fights, Keith hasn't fought in 3 years. Barrios, is coming off the knockout loss to Gervonta Davis. Talk about that. I know you're in tune to the business of boxing. Is this a pay-per-view fight in your opinion?
No, it's not. But, I guess I was reading today on what the Fox model, what it kind of looks like, and, compared to what it used to look like and the amount of dates and how they're able to get the fighters opportunities to fight. And it sounds like this was the only way to make it happen, was to put it on pay-per-view. So I'm all for fighters getting opportunities to fight, more chances, even if it's on pay-per-view, even if it sounds a little steep to the public, which it does. It's if you look at the market value based on what a pay-per-view fight has been, this doesn't really qualify for one. But with that being said, it's still, it's a fight with a former welterweight world champion, Keith Thurman, a former 140-pound champion, and Mario Barrios. And it's still a good fight. I don't know if I'm going to tune in and buy it or not, but I might. If I'm a little bored tomorrow night, I definitely will. So it's still got a lot of talent.
I'm buying it. Don't tell anyone, but I'm buying it.
That's why I love you, Mark.
But here's the thing, you know what? Maybe the price is a little steep, but remember a few years ago, Top Rank, they used to run these little Latin Fury and pay-per-views. They put four quality fights on there. Maybe not the biggest name value, maybe not world title fights, but it's a chance. I know it's a little bit tougher now with the COVID situation to have the guys over. We'll watch 4 entertaining fights, and you have a nice Saturday night out of it.
I mean, I agree. I'm like I said, it's not, it's not heavyweights. Obviously, whatever heavyweight fights are going on, the championship fights, I'm going to buy those. It doesn't matter. You got a guy coming back off a long layoff, but he had a great performance against Manny Pacquiao. Don't count that out. He definitely did. And the guy was a 147-pound world champion, a guy who was in discussions to be, a big name opponent for Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. A guy who's been inactive lately, a guy who's a little older now, a guy who's got, a little bit of pressure on him, but I like the fight. I think Barrios is in over his head. I don't care how long the layoff is. This isn't a 135-pound or 140-pound guy, trial horse guy. This is Keith Thurman. He's still very dangerous. And just because you lose one fight, very close fight to Manny Pacquiao, Keith just started a little slow, and that was based on experience and everything. That doesn't mean he's not a good fighter anymore. So I'm looking forward to seeing Keith back in action and seeing what he brings to the table tomorrow night.
I was talking with our good friend Ray Flores, no relation, by the way, a couple days ago, and he brought up a good point. But he brought the old Larry Merchant line. Are we going to see the old Keith Thurman or an old Keith Thurman?
I don't know. I guess that's why we got to tune in and check it out. So, like I said, Barrios is going to have a lot of those advantages that he has over other guys at 140. He's fighting a real 147-pounder now. This is a massive step up. If I'm his management team, I'm not crazy about this fight. I'm not crazy about this move. I think Thurman's the way, way, way harder puncher. I think Thurman's a better boxer. I think Thurman's got him in every single category. And I think it's going to be a rough night for Barrios tomorrow night, even though he's a tough kid. Standing in the trenches and, trying to trade with Thurman's going to lead to a very short night for Mario Barrios.
I know you've spent, we'll get back to that fight in a second. I know you've spent a lot of time in Phoenix, a lot of Phoenix flavor on the card. You got Abel Ramos, who's Carlos Castro, Keenan Carbajal fighting Leo Santa Cruz. I know you probably saw these kids as babies, because I know you spent a lot of time out in Phoenix.
Yeah, I did. They fought on some of my undercards, 3 and 4 years ago. But Carlos Castro he's undefeated. He's got a lot of wins. He's still looking for that name win, that name on his resume that's going to kind of put him over the top. And he's a good, basic, fundamental boxer. I don't know if he's got the firepower to stand in there with some of those top guys in his division. A lot of rough guys in there, but he's a good boxer. And he's an exciting prospect, and he's going to make for a good fight. But I don't know if he's got what it takes to beat the champions at his weight. But he's a good, sharp, fundamental boxer. He's got good fundamentals.
I see him with the win, fighting a Danny Roman, a Stephen Fulton, a Stephen Fulton, and Brandon Figueroa type of guy. He's fighting Neri, who hasn't looked the same at 122 pounds as I think BJ's I think ran from Mayor Miami. I think you want to show us the whole city, don't you?
No, I just had to move. It's too bright over there.
So a good pay-per-view show. I think it's definitely gonna be an entertaining show tomorrow. 4 fights. Got the 2 fights on Fox starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Should be an excellent show tomorrow night. Just announced a couple weeks later, March 19th, at the new. I have a tough time saying this. The Crypto.com Center in Los Angeles, the old Staples Center. Terrific rematch of a great first fight, Jamal Charlo and Brian Castano. BJ, that was a great fight they had down in Texas last year. What do you expect in the rematch?
Castano really surprised me. I know he was tough. He had a draw with the Cuban kid, Ruslan de Lara. He surprised me in that fight, and he surprised me even more in the Charlo fight. He showed a lot of guts. He showed a lot of determination. He's a very, very good pressure fighter. He's one of those guys that you can't have any lapses in concentration for a second against a guy like Castano. He's very dangerous. He comes with a lot of good combinations, with a lot of good punches, and he's a dangerous guy. I knew Charlo was very good. I knew Charlo was a great boxer, very strong, very powerful. Not so like an athletic boxer, but just like a strong, powerful, nuts and bolts, very good athlete. And I was surprised by what Castano was able to do with him. I thought it was going to be more one-sided than that. And to be honest with you, I had Castano slightly ahead. I think I have Charlo being the champion, but I had Castano slightly ahead. I think it was 7-5 is how I had it scored, and it was a hell of a fight. So I'm excited these guys are going to run it back.
Yeah, I'm excited for that fight as well. It should be a terrific fight.
Yes.
March 19th in Los Angeles. Get to the big boys here. Last week, $43 million, $41 million purse bid for Tyson Fury. When you're dealing with that much money, what's a couple $1 million? Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. Get it on. Looks like April 23rd in Wales. Should be an interesting fight. I've already gone on record saying if Tyson Fury isn't on his game, Dillian Whyte can punch, and he can really punch. And I think Fury needs to be on his game. He can't be looking forward to Usyk. He can't be looking back to and resting on his laurels. The fight against Deontay Wilder. So I think this is going to be a really good fight, and I think a pretty good promotion leading up to it.
This is Mark. You touched on it very well. This is one of those situations where when Tyson Fury's fought Deontay Wilder 3 times, and then he goes to Dillian Whyte, who's supposedly not as good. Look, this is a very tough matchup. In heavyweight boxing, anybody can land a punch and win on any night. Dillian Whyte's a rough, rugged guy. Look at his wins over Oscar Rivas. Look at his wins over Joseph Parker, over Alexander Povetkin after Povetkin knocked him out. I mean, this guy's got 3 good wins in a row. And you know what? With a guy like Tyson Fury, you can't outbox Tyson Fury. You're not going to beat him on the outside. It's going to take a rough, rugged type of, almost like an international style in the amateurs, those rough guys that come forward and make it tough with those wide swinging shots like Dillian Whyte's actually really good at. You look at his power hand, his left hook, it's very hard. He shoots overhand rights and left hooks. He's going to give Tyson Fury some problems. It's one of those fights where Tyson Fury's got to be sharp every round, and I don't feel like Dillian Whyte has as much risk of being KO'd as Tyson Fury does. Now, with that being said, Dillian Whyte's going to have to constantly press forward to have any shot to get close to Tyson, because Tyson's an expert at range. He's an expert at distance and controlling all those things and making sure that Tyson fights on his terms. But he's got to be careful. Dillian Whyte's he's a real contender. He's a real puncher. He's got a great chin, and he's going to be around. So I'm really looking forward to that fight.
Do fighters, let me ask you this. Obviously, they were, I mean, just from reading through things, it seemed like they were close to making the Usyk fight with Fury, and then the purse bid, the step aside didn't happen. Do fighters can they let down? In terms of mentally letting down, thinking he's going to fight for the undisputed championship, and now he may have in his mind, well, I guess I have to make this mandatory. I mean, in terms of kind of letting down psychologically, do fighters go through that, or once training camp starts, he's going to be completely focused on the job at hand in Dillian Whyte?
I mean, are you talking about Tyson Fury?
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
I feel like he's going to be. I didn't know if you're talking about Usyk or Joshua. We
No,
got a great heavyweight situation right now. It's really exciting. So I'm excited about all of it. But I would say, yeah. I mean, fighters for sure. You can be let down. You could think you're going to fight one guy and be excited for it, and then all of a sudden, nope, you're not fighting him. It didn't work out. Now you're going to fight another guy. It is a little bit of an emotional blow, depending on how Tyson Fury felt personally about who he wanted to fight. Yeah, you could definitely make an argument there. So. I just feel like, Tyson Fury, he's showed he's the goods. He's got to be at his best for a guy like Dillian Whyte. This is Dillian Whyte's probably final chance. I mean, the guy's been in line as a mandatory for, I think, almost 4 years now, and he's going to be coming. He's going to be bringing everything he's got, but I just don't think he's got enough to be able to find Tyson. But this is heavyweight boxing, so anything can happen, and it's just one of those fights where, I feel like once Tyson checks into camp, he will be on his A game, and he will be up for it. He knows Dillian Whyte's a serious challenge. And I feel like Dillian Whyte, he knows what Tyson is. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm really excited about it.
The following week in Madison Square Garden on April 30th, they actually just sent out a note on Twitter that the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano is the second biggest pre-sale of boxing in the history of Madison Square Garden boxing. This fight is, we use the term about big fights or fighters on their way up. Capturing the imagination of the public. Seems like this one is caught on.
It has. Katie Taylor, obviously 20-0 world champion, a star over in the UK, and Amanda Serrano, a multi-weight division world champion, a massive puncher from Puerto Rico, fighting in New York. Where there's a lot of, historically a lot of Puerto Rican fans out there. And then, you throw in the massive X factor, Jake Paul. Anytime Jake Paul's involved in anything, it's going to be a massive event. And when Jake put his stamp of approval on this fight and said, look, this is the fight to make. I want to make the best fights. I want my fighter to get the best opportunity to make the most money, to fight the best fighters out there and fulfill every dream she's ever had for her career. Then when Jake signs off on it, man, it's game over. I told you a long time ago, this kid has the X factor. He's got what it takes to succeed, to thrive in any type of business he does. And it's going to take off. And Eddie Hearn's caught fire with it too. He's really pushing it hard. And you got Jake pushing it, and Nikisa Badarian, they're all pushing it. And it's just going to be a massive event. And I think it's going to make history in women's boxing. It is. This isn't just another fight on a Friday or a Saturday night. This is the best two female fighters going against each other. They've been calling each other out for a long time. And it's a pay-per-view event at Madison Square Garden. I mean, it's unbelievable. So it's something to get excited about, and I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, and it's gonna be live on the Zone. I think it's gonna be live on the Zone, if I'm not mistaken, here in the United States. Correct?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, and like I said, they're already loading up the undercard. They got Jesse Vargas fighting Liam Smith. They just added another undisputed women's title fight between Franchon Cruz DeZern and Elin Sidarusa. Who do you like in the fight? I mean, we talked about all the business and capturing the imagination of the public. Who do you like in the fight?
I mean, if you look at if we break it down and look at the nuts and bolts of Katie Taylor 20-0 with 6 knockouts, and we compare that to Amanda's resume. Amanda coming from 125, 130, 135. It's going to be different for her at 135. She's not punching quite the same at 135 that she is at 130 and 125, but she's still the bigger puncher in this fight. She is. She knows how to go to the body. I think Katie's age, she's getting older. She's got great hand speed. She's got great movement. She's got great ability. But I just feel like the punching power of Amanda, the determination, and if she's able to cut the ring off effectively and go to the body and finish up top and go to the body and finish up top, I think Katie Taylor's in for a long night. And I think also Katie Taylor's got to fight a perfect fight, because I think Amanda can hurt her with any shot. And it's one of those situations where she's going to have to be sharp for all 10 rounds if she wants to leave April 30th with a victory. Because I think Amanda's very, very hungry for this fight. She's got a chip on her shoulder, and she wants to prove everybody wrong that she's been the best the entire time, and she's ready to get in there. And I feel like, Katie, I've watched 3 or 4 of her fights this last week, and when she's on the front foot and she's coming forward, man, she's very tough to beat. She's unstoppable. But if you look at her other fights, when she fought Pursoon 2 times, the Belgian lady who backed her up and continually pushed her on the back foot, she struggled a lot. And sometimes with these good amateur fighters like that, you throw all the boxing stuff out the window and you just make it a fight. And that's what Pursoon did. And I feel like that's the kind of strategy that Amanda will have coming into this. And I think it's going to be a tough night for Katie.
I agree with you. I mean, I've watched Amanda Serrano basically since she turned pro. I used to broadcast a lot of her fights on the late Go Fight Live network years and years ago. And when I saw her fight, as a younger fighter, she was very aggressive and she was starching these girls. And I can see, I don't know if she's going to starch Katie, but I think she's going to get the better of the action on April 30th.
She's dangerous,
Segueing,
Mark.
she's very dangerous.
Yes, she is.
Segueing, the same night, most likely in Las Vegas, hasn't been announced yet officially, and Joe Markowski, who's the big guy over at the Zone, already said that he will make sure that the fights will not overlap each other. Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez. This is going to be an interesting fight. I believe this fight. Remember years ago when Floyd Mayweather was, he was a great young fighter, and then that Diego Corrales fight kind of put him on that next level. This is that fight. This is that fight for Shakur Stevenson. We know he's a great. We know he's a great talent, but he hasn't had that real, beat the shit out of some guy moment. This could be it on April 30th.
He needs a good name on his resume. To be honest with you, like it's tough it's tough to keep track of some of those guys, 122 and 126 and 130. And as they move up, they're in and out of the division so quick. They're not there for a long time. And, Floyd Mayweather was kind of a throwback because he didn't go anywhere till he won his first world title at 130. He started at 130 and stayed all the way there till he won the title. And then I feel like he defended it a couple times. Then he went to 135 and he fought, he fought Jose Luis Castillo. But you got guys checking in and out of these weight brackets so quick. And Oscar Valdez, he's a name that, Shakur Stevenson can really, he can make some headways. But I'll say this, like, it's a great fight. It's a very good fight that people are excited to see, but they better switch the time slots to make sure it works, because it's not going to sell compared to Amanda and Katie Taylor.
No, Joe Markowski already
sell. So they're smart to switch those time slots because, like I said, they're not going to get any action unless they do.
At the press conference already, Joe Markowski already said we will not overlap with that fight. So that's great for all boxing fans that night. April 30th looks to be an unbelievable night in the sport of boxing. A couple more questions for you. Yeah. This is actually a two-part question. Who will Canelo fight, and who do you want him to fight?
I don't know. I mean, Canelo's pretty much fought everybody. It's tough to really fault him or say who he should fight or what he's got next. I feel like he should fight whoever he wants. He's kind of earned that, and whatever makes sense for him financially, whatever the biggest opportunity is for him, that's what he should take. 168. I don't know if there's any names out there that really makes sense. David Benavidez obviously is a dangerous guy, but he just doesn't have the resume like he'll give Canelo his toughest fight, no question about it. He will, but just does he have the resume to sell? Is the risk versus reward worth it for Canelo based on what Benavidez has done lately? I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I think there's a lot of big names out there for Canelo, and he's kind of earned the right to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, well, if you believe what you read, there's the kind of two options that you're hearing about. If he wants to do another fight with the PBC, Jamal Charlo, or Eddie Hearn allegedly is offering him a 2-fight deal, which will start with Dimitri Bivol, so he can pick off a title at 175 and then come back down.
That's a tough fight, though, Mark. That's not just a fight where he's got to pick off a title like some guy who can't fight. That's a very tough fight. Bivol's very good, and he really hasn't even really lost too many rounds since he's been a pro. He really has. He's very, very good.
I don't know if we're doing an interview or taping an episode of Cribs here.
No, I'm just trying to find where the sunlight's better. There we go.
Well, you're taking us all around the house like we're on Cribs or something. So and then just to finish the point about that, it would be a 2-fight deal with Bivol plus the third trilogy fight with Gennady Golovkin.
I mean, that's a fight to me that doesn't really do much for me now. I think Canelo beats him easy now. Golovkin's been inactive. He hasn't been active lately. He's almost 40 years old now, I think. It's just not a fight that's going to go well for Golovkin. I feel like that's, if I'm Golovkin's team, I'm, obviously for financial reasons, they're going to want that fight, but that's not a fight he can win, I don't feel like. He hasn't been active enough. Even when he was at his best, 4 years ago, and Canelo was still trying to improve and getting better, he still wasn't able to do enough to win on the judges' scorecards. Even though the first fight I had him slightly winning, but the second fight was different, and now this time I think it'll be a lot different. So I don't think that makes sense for Golovkin, but if he wants it, hey, it's his career. He can do whatever he wants, but that's not a fight I would be too excited to see, especially after the second one, 3 years ago. The Bivol fight, that's an interesting fight. People don't know who he is, though. They really don't. And I feel like the David Benavidez is a lot more entertaining, fan-friendly type of fight. I know David. He's hungry for the fight. He wants it badly, and he feels like he's done everything he can to deserve it. But just if you look at the resume, like I said, it's tough for Canelo to look at David and be like, look, this is the guy for sure, 100%. Of course, David's in the conversation, no question, but it's not clear cut. And And David's a worker, man. David's a tough fight for anybody. And I think Canelo's team knows that. And just like I said, the risk versus reward, I just don't know if it makes sense.
How about Jamal Charlo? What do you think of a potential fight with that?
Jamal Charlo with Canelo, I mean, that's a great fight too. I mean, Jamal Charlo's resume is he's been around a little longer than David. He's got some good names, but again, he doesn't have he doesn't have a name like anything close to Canelo.
Well, I think he's got a bigger name than Bivol and maybe even Benavidez, because him and his brother, they're pretty outspoken guys, and he's a guy with a little bit more of the cachet, but he may not have the resume of a Bivol or a David Benavidez.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I feel like it's good matchmaking because he's got a great resume at 160. He had a good resume at that weight, but now at 168, he doesn't have the resume at 168. But he himself, Charlo's a big name himself, and he's a very powerful, very strong fighter. He's made leaps and bounds improvement with Ronnie Shields. Ronnie's got him boxing very well. He's sharp. He's very technical. I mean, I like him as a fighter. I love him. He's a hard worker. He's always working. He's a great performer. He's always going for the knockout. I love Charlo. I think it's a great fight. I think Benavidez is a great fight too. Like I said, if you put them down on paper and you compare the two names next to each other and compare the resumes, maybe it's Charlo. But Benavidez, in my opinion, is the tougher fight. But they're both very tough fights, and you got to give Canelo credit for either guy he faces. They're both very good.
Well, knowing Canelo, maybe we'll get a fight with all these guys.
Yeah.
And I know there was talk about him fighting Makabu, a cruiserweight. Makabu, in my opinion, he got a nice decision last week, but we'll put it at that. It's weird. I was watching that fight and trying to figure Canelo would annihilate this guy.
I don't know. I mean, you figure in those extra 30 pounds, and it's just it makes everything interesting. It really does. Canelo coming in 15 or 20 pounds bigger. Does he have the same speed? No. Is he able to take the power? Does he sit in the trenches more? Yes, he will. Is he able to take the power? I don't know. Probably, but who knows? I mean, there's some questions when you go up 30 pounds in weight. From going 168 to 78 to 88, Canelo would probably come in about 85 to 90, I would say.
Yeah.
Anytime you add 15 or 20 pounds on a body, and then expect that body to fight for 12 rounds again the same way, it's unrealistic. It takes time. You add 15 pounds on, that's about 10% of his body weight. That's a lot. So I don't know. It's an interesting fight. I would love to see that fight. I think it's a great fight. Makabu obviously doesn't have the name like Charlo has and like David Benavidez has, but he's a dangerous guy cruiserweight. But he's obviously on the back end of his career now.
Got a guy, Chris Conley, wants to know what gym you're training at. What gym? I don't know. What gym are you training at? You guys train? Yeah, you guys train down Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Puerto Rico,
yeah. But Chris, he's living the high life in Miami. That's where now. So I guess it's a good segue into what you got going on. Obviously, you've done a hell of a job with Paul and the improvements that he keeps making, coming off the explosive starching win against Tyron Woodley in the rematch. We really haven't heard much from you in the last few weeks since the fight. Talk about that. I mean, how do you feel about Jake's performance?
Jake just always every fight going in, he's got a tremendous amount of pressure on him because in his 5th pro fight, he's fighting in front of 20,000 people. He's fighting on Showtime pay-per-view. He's fighting against a world champion in another division. I don't care if he's a boxer or not. He's still a very, very tough guy and a very strong guy and an explosive guy. So the way that Jake is able to handle the pressure every time and be able to, just diligently work every day and be so detailed on his schedule, it's very impressive. The kid comes to work every single day. The one thing that people don't talk about because they don't know is he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of ability. He does. He's got a lot of raw talent. He's got power. He's got speed. He works his ass off. He's very technical. His fundamentals are getting better every single time. He's not there yet, but he's getting there. And he's learning how to behave like a professional in rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7 when the going gets tough and things aren't going exactly his way. The kid's got a headbutt by an intentional elbow, not even a punch. So, something besides a punch caused a headbutt, blood all over the place, bleeding into his eye. I mean, this is the kid's 5th pro fight, and he's fighting in front of 20,000 people on Showtime pay-per-view. Just the nerves on this guy, you can't even. It's unexplainable. So the way he's able to hold himself together under fire, under pressure. We say it in camp all the time. Pressure makes diamonds. It does. No pressure, no diamond. the kid deals with pressure like nobody I've ever seen, and it's just it's really fun to be a part of. So he's going to get a lot better too, and it's being a part of the whole process has been very fun.
And I could share something now that I really haven't shared with many people. Long before I didn't even know who Jake Paul was until you sent me a video of this blonde-haired kid training in the gym.
Yeah.
And you said, Mark, what do you think of this kid? I said, he's okay. You never would have known that he was a quote novice, a novice boxer. And, he's making progress. Is he going to fight? I mean, I think the problem people have, they're trying to compare him to Canelo or Keith Thurman or some of the other fighters that we've been talking about over the last 20 plus minutes. He's bringing some excitement. Obviously, he has a lot of different hats he's wearing inside of boxing. He's helping with this major event happening with Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. So I think a guy like Jake Paul, he's good for the sport. I mean, I really believe it. I think that you guys obviously he's very business savvy and marketing savvy, and the job that you guys and you and Jacob and the rest of your team have done with him for inside the ring, it's been really good. I mean, you can say you want about Tyron Woodley, whether he was past his prime, whatever. He was still a badass professional fighter at one time. So it takes some. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to do that and to jump in the ring with them. Where do you see him next? I mean, I don't know what you can and cannot say, but is Tommy Fury out of the picture? Is he back in the picture? What do you want to see maybe next over the next maybe 2 or 3 fights?
I mean, if the name's being mentioned, I feel like Tommy Fury is the easiest fight of all of them. Doesn't matter who. But I don't think Jake wants to give him another opportunity. I mean, Tommy really, did talk his best game and which was decent promotion for the fight. But then once we got 2 weeks out, whether he was really injured or not, I don't know. But it's just like it really kind of stung Jake that he wasn't going to get the opportunity. We've been working every day in camp strictly and specifically for Tommy Fury. And once we got the news that he was pulling out, I wasn't really surprised, to be honest with you. I was just like, okay, like what are we gonna, so it was just an emotional letdown. But that's kind of on Jake. Jake's the only one who could really answer that question if he wants to give Tommy another opportunity or not. I think it's I'm not gonna say an easy fight, but compared to other names that I've been hearing, it's for sure the easiest fight. And that's the thing you got to also respect about Jake is every fight he's in, it's a close to an even money fight, or he's slightly the favorite, or he's slightly the underdog with every opponent he's taken. And I don't know how you can't take your hat off of that.
You just said you still feel that there's so much improvement still to go in Jake Paul. Where do you think he's at percentage-wise? Have we seen 30%, 50% of what you think he can max out to be?
No, he's more than that. But I feel like just doing it under the lights and doing it over and over again, repeating yourself and feeling more comfortable, more confident. I feel like there's a lot to be said for that. In being a professional. And that's why I feel like he's got a massive advantage over Tommy Fury. He's already done the 2 big 20,000 stadiums full of crowd, full of people screaming his name. He's already had 2 walkouts. He's already had 2 build-ups. I don't care what Tommy says. I don't care how well Tommy handles pressure. Until he gets in that moment, he has no idea what is about to be upon him. And I feel like it's a big advantage for Jake. And, some of the other guys being mentioned, they've been in situations like that before, maybe not quite as extreme, but they've been there before and they've got way more experience. So I just feel like, with more time, with more opportunities, with more fights, that Jake will only get better. He'll season himself better. He'll learn how to relax better. And you still haven't seen the best of him at all. Like, being able to do it in the gym and doing it underneath the lights in front of 20,000 people on pay-per-view is completely different. And Jake's seeing that now. And he's learning that what he needs to do to really be able to calm himself down and really to be able to perform to the best of his ability when he's got that opportunity for that 24 minutes to perform. And it's tough. But I think Jake's probably about 60% of where he can be right now, and I think there's a long ways to go. But he's come so far in 2 short years that I've been with him, and it's been incredible. So, like I said, I couldn't be more proud of the kid. He's such a hard worker and gives back and does so many good things for so many people that nobody knows about. It's like I said, it's a lot of fun.
And I also like he's definitely officially become a fighter, because I think he's already retired twice and come back, hasn't he?
Yeah, he likes to say things to stir people up, but I really think he will. He wouldn't have a problem taking a UFC fight. He wouldn't have one. If Dana would have accepted the deal and they would have done that, I think he would have jumped in the cage no problem, as long as that guy was willing to come in the boxing ring. I think he would have done it. And it's just one of those things that they weren't willing to sign off on. But Jake, if Jake says he's going to do it, he's bringing his ass and he's going to do it for sure. So it's one of those situations where if he said he's going to do it, he'll do it.
I got a question here. What direction? Have you heard anything about Chavez Jr. fight?
I've heard about it. Yeah, I've heard there's a little bit of a little discussion, but Chavez Jr. needs to come back to planet Earth on what his financial demands are. Like I said, I mean, he's not. I mean, he was a good champion. He wasn't a great champion. He was very good. He has no name value compared to Jake, even though he's the son of Chavez. But he's not Chavez. There's only one Chavez, and people don't look at him as Chavez. Not even close. They don't. Like I said, it's like it's not even close as far as value what Chavez Jr. brings to the table as Jake. I mean, if he wants to come back to reality, then maybe there's a better chance the fight could get made. I don't have a problem with that fight at all. We can take that no problem. But like I said, it's just probably more business stuff that we need to be worked out.
Absolutely. Speaking of retirement, you look like you're doing very well there. So, looking at the background, being in Miami, enjoying yourself. As you're obviously, like we mentioned before, what you've done with Jake inside the ring, has your phone started to ring from some more pro fighters that maybe want to start training with you and your guys?
Yeah, it has. But right now, like I said, my main focus is on Jake. Jake has been like my project for the last, over 2 years now. And Jake's my number one priority. So the phone can ring. I'm not going to say there's no situation that I would be open to if it all worked out with everything else, but Jake's my number one priority. We've come too far now, and we're actually just getting started to scratch the tip of the iceberg right now. So Jake's got a nice 2 or 3 years ahead of him. He's going to be very, very, very dangerous opponent for everybody he fights, and he's going to move the needle like he always has in his life. So it's one of those situations where, and it's not even a business, it's not even a financial thing. Like it's more of this kid's part of the family. I want to see him go as far as he possibly can. I want his story to go like this, and I feel like I can strongly influence that. And he can do everything else.
It's Friday. You're in this nice pad in Miami. What's the weekend looking like?
Nothing. It's Friday night tonight. I'm actually going to a comedy show tonight at 9 p.m. with a couple friends, and then after that I'll just come home. Last night I went to a girlfriend's house and chilled out a little bit, relaxed, watched TV. Was home by 11 p.m. Tomorrow night I got a buddy coming in town, and we'll probably go out for the day, and then at nighttime come home. So I'm not really a night owl anymore. I kind of I like to be at home at nighttime. So nothing really too crazy in Miami. I got a lot of friends that always come to Miami and hit me up. Oh, let's go out. And I'm just not really about that anymore. So
been there, done that with South Beach, huh?
Yeah, I've been there, done that. And it's a new phase and a new chapter in my life now. So it's like I said, it doesn't really call my attention anymore.
Have you been indulging in the Cuban cuisine down there?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, have some.
I like Cuban food.
Arroz con pollo, la ropa vieja, just all the different good Cuban plates there are down here. But there's also some really good ones in Puerto Rico where we've been living. Got the churrasco, the chimichurri, all the different steaks with all the different types of rice and everything. It's been amazing. So I really like being out here. I'm very comfortable out here. I enjoy it, and Miami's looking real good with Puerto Rico being only 2 hours away. So I'm back and forth living in both now. And Puerto Rico feels like home. Miami feels like home. They both feel great. And whatever I got to do to make sure I'm in the right position at the right time to, make sure we get where we got to go.
My guy Matthew Benalil, who lives down there, said that there's some local fights down there on Saturday, down in Miami. Signature punch. Matt, we got 2 more minutes, if you can get it on the screen in the next couple minutes, let us know. But so that's good. So BJ Flores, he's doing well retirement. We just got a great comment from KOTR about the tremendous work that you've done with Jake Paul. So a lot of people are noticing what you do, and I think the training. The training thing, you may have a big future, and obviously it's great to have a nice high profile client to work with first, and we'll be charting your progress along the way.
Mark, one thing I was watching a rerun today with Brian Campbell from Showtime said about Jake. He's like, look, man, the finish before the fight, it was rough. It was some murky waters for Jake, but the way he finished him, the way he was continually taunting and feigning and looking down and coming up, and that was a very professional thing that he's doing. He's not just going in there swinging punches from his waist. And, I'm glad Brian notices that kind of stuff because we constantly work on that in camp, looking down, going up, taunting, getting guys to pull their defense away from their face. And Jake, just being the athlete he is, just knowing how to capitalize. And, it's a lot of fun to watch. And people, talking about, my training with Jake or whatever else, like this kid works his ass off, man. This kid's got the talent. This kid's got the nuts and bolts. He's a very strong kid. He's a very athletic kid. He does everything that we tell him to do. We have a very good team around him. A lot of good people, besides myself. Strength and conditioning coach, excellent. A guy who stretches him out and makes sure he's limber and he never has any injuries, excellent. Guy who wraps his hands and does a tremendous job with him. Jake never has any hand problems, excellent. There's so many good parts to our team, and good training partners and good sparring partners that just make it a very easy environment for Jake to thrive. And that's what I wanted to put in place around him. Experienced guys that have been around, guys who know what's up, guys who can motivate him the right way. And there's just a lot of good members of this team, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, there you have it. The future trainer of the year, BJ Flores. So we'll expect to see you in New York getting that award at some point in the near future. We thank you for a few minutes of your time. We did 35 minutes. I felt like we just started here. So enjoy that view. If I was there, I would just be looking out the window all day. I mean,
Look at it.
Take us there really quick.
Take a peek. Hold on, let's go over here.
It's supposed to be 28 degrees in Philly tomorrow, so I just want to see what's going on there.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, we need the guy from Cribs here to kind of. Oh wow. No, so you're high up. What floor are you on?
I'm on the 81st floor.
81st.
81st, buddy.
Oh my God! Look at that. How many people out there watching that would want to be on one of those boats right now? Count me as one of them. Well, hold on. I think we may have gotten where the fights. He wants to come on, but we're wrapping up. So I will talk to you soon, BJ, and best of luck, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks maybe. We'll bring you back, break down some fights. Bye bye.